Gotcha.
It's something like on sale, $12 range.
Nope.
I thought it said
Good morning. Let's call this board meeting to order. Rankin County Board of Supervisors, 9 o'clock. At this time, I'd like to have Mr. Craig Slade, if you would, lead our invocation, please.
Father, we're just so grateful for the opportunity again to come and invoke and Father, your Spirit to be here to help to guide us. Father, give these men discernment and wisdom as they consider the decisions that need to be made. I pray, Father, that you'll help us all to consider our place of service and our role of service to other citizens in this county. I thank you, Father, for the blessing it is to live in this county, where folks care for each other. And Father, in time of need, we see how people react and respond. I pray, Father, that you'll to come alongside and to help our fellow neighbors in their time of need. I pray, Father, that all the needs that result from the storms that we've encountered, Father, those will be met, they'll be met speedily, Father. And then, Father, those who have been helped will go out and help others. We pray all this in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Craig. This time we have public comments and recognition. We have Chief Tim Cook from Shell Oil Road. I didn't think I saw him yet. Okay, we'll pass on him. We may come back. At this time, we have Mayor Gary Rhodes and Gary Miller, Public Works Director of the City of Flowood.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As y'all recall, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, I was before you talking about the West Rankin Parkway wood chip. This is a Pearl project, but the Pearl mayor's tied up today, so I'm playing hit. Anyway, we've bid this project out and about 4 weeks ago, and the project came in a little over. The low bid was just a little bit over. Y'all had pledged $1.5 million to build the bridge out of your BR funds in this project. The bearer of good news this morning is the bridge came in at 2.250. So I don't know if we need, that's $750,000 above estimate on the bridge and your commitment. So I wanted to come over on this beautiful Monday morning. Well, yes, sir. In a way, I don't have anything to do. It was bid by, how many bidders bid on? About eight? About eight bidders.
We got a good number on it.
Right. 2 million, 2.5, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it's-
Whenever we had to rebid, somewhere around there?
It was out of sight last
Way out of
time.
kilter.
About 14 million.
Right.
But here this morning to get y'all's consideration and go ahead so that we can release this bid.
Our consideration to pick up part of it or
I'll need you to pick up the whole.
Wasn't it like 1.3 million?
Yeah, we
short?
gotta come up, yeah, there's another 600,000 that we're still gonna be short that we're gonna come through property owners, cause the city's well, we've put up 1,047,000. Pearl's put up about the same amount of money. The county has put up some funds and then made this commitment. Commitment had been like 300 and over the years.
That's right, yeah.
And then the commitment was to utilize, do the bridge for us.
Right. And I told them when we met last time, Jared and I were there, that to see what our bridge costs were, because like I said, we did commit to doing the bridge, and the reason, so I didn't want to speak for the board. Told them they need to come over here and present it to us.
So would that come out of bridge and culvert? Is that how that'd come?
Come out bridge and culvert. Now, we've also, the county is also in the process being involved at about $900,000 on other issues paid out. We still got about 3 more years to pay out on doing some things. So the county will be involved not only with this bridge, but about $900,000 on.
When you talking general support, we talk about in-house work, or what is?
Where'd it come from?
No, funds that we have dispersed to the dispersed to the project.
What we paid on Pearl that it says West Rankin Parkway. Now, it might be a different phase or something.
Originally, we had an interlocal we started several years ago, and we had committed 500,000 in this bills, and so we quit paying them. But
That
then
is
we,
true, we paid a portion.
right, I think we paid up to like 300,000. But then they
We're
came
also-
to us and asked us to do, to help out with the bridge. So we did a new interlocal for an additional $1.5 million, because like I said, that was the estimate for the bridge.
Maybe we need to see a breakdown of everything. I wasn't aware of some of the things that you're referring to. I mean, maybe that's something we need to see.
$900,000.
No, that's something different, Laura.
It's
It is.
listed as West Rankin, that's why I
Yeah.
need to,
It's not this project,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think we had spent that much out on
No.
it.
It's in our bond schedule, but it's listed as West Rankin Parkway.
Right.
Maybe it's a phase one, that's what it was called a long time ago, I don't know.
I was looking at that a few years ago, actually.
Yeah, I'd like to see, because why would it be listed there if it wasn't money?
Because this bond is something associated with a bond, and this project has never been anything to do with
I
bond.
didn't know why it would be listed as,
Well, is it
West
true
Rankin
that y'all have
expense.
600,000 spare money? I just haven't helped the project. But anyway, I won't hold up time. If could, y'all, please do that consideration.
Yeah.
And the project is under a deadline.
It's already been bid.
You know, we'll ask for a continuance from the low bidder to give us a little more time if y'all need the time to, you know. But that's the consideration I would hope that y'all take today, and then we're still gonna be short 600 that we're gonna come up with somewhere else.
well, there's a lot of players involved in this as far as, I know some, and engineering and all. Is there any way that they could all contribute?
Yes.
Or trim some, and contribute to where we, if we were able to do some, it wouldn't be so much?
Yes. Well, I intend on looking at the landowners and ask them to come up to the 600,000 to make the bid without anything. But it's a project that's been going on for years and years, and it's our way around the stack.
Oh, it's a vital,
Right.
it is. I
It's
just,
our way around the stack event that.
well, tell me, I'm curious, why did we fall short when we went to, what happened I thought CMPD. Why did we not ask for enough, or what happened? Because I thought that, sitting there that day when all the money was being dispersed in CMPD,
You know, when we get those grants for MPO or whatever federal money, there's a 20% match. So evidently, we didn't ask for enough. Again, I'm not in charge of this project, the city of Pearl is, but what we asked for evidently wasn't enough with CE&I engineering, and again, I want to state that, so.
You might better say that one more time so everybody understands.
Well, you know, thing is, it's a very worthy project. We got a good bid. We bid this thing, this is the second go-around, we got a good bid. We're like 1.3, 1.4 off. And if the bridge came in at the numbers I just give you, and then we're still gonna be raising 600, have to be pinpointed directly at the landowners.
who did the estimate on the bridge to be that much off? Or is it because time's lapsed from when the project started to now, an increase in?
Well, Pickering's the engineering group. Pickering did the estimate for the project.
Okay. Fortunately, most of the time, we're a little high on our estimates, but this time we're considerably.
What's that boy's
Yeah.
name over in Madison County? That's the engineer. Rudy?
Yeah.
I seen him miss a project one time, 1.5 million. Of course, that's reasonable, but,
You know, I think overall the project came in where they estimated maybe, but this particular bidder, the cost of his bridge was more than some of the others, I think. Isn't that about right?
That's right.
Yeah.
His bridge cost was higher than the other two low bidders, and they were $1.5 million higher on their total rate, on their total bill.
They came in high on the rest.
What's, so the deadline on this thing, if, you know, if we don't take action today, the 15th of the month, I mean, is that too late, or what's the, I guess?
We have
for my
30
board?
days to award the contract, to get a concurrence package to MDOT to award the project.
Right,
We're gonna have to ask for at least another 30 days. We can hold the bid for back to MDOT within that 60-day timeline.
Okay.
And the contractor has to agree.
right, okay,
Or we can add the item to the agenda today and take
Right.
action.
exactly.
Well, gentlemen,
Yeah,
thank you.
Okay.
thank you.
If you got any other questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Are you in charge of this project, man?
No, sir. No, sir. It's not a little over a million something in it. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Do we have any other public comment?
No, no more,
Wait a minute.
where do you, there you
Oh,
go,
he made
there
it,
you go.
yeah.
You come in, come on in, Tim Cook, Chief of Shell Oil Road Volunteer Fire Department.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. How you doing?
Thank y'all for just taking a few minutes to hear some of my comments. Hey, great discussion here of late about making an amendment to I think it's a, right.
What?
Transit vendor ordinance.
That's it.
Right.
And Mr. Craig has been asked to work up some verbiage and such in regards to that. And I had a few comments, and I thought it might be of benefit for you to hear how we actually do it in southern Rankin County. The vendor, which is what this is mainly about, comes in about every 2 years and actually goes out and solicits funds for actually taking photographs. And some of the verbiage that's being considered, one of the stipulations is that a fireman or a fire personnel has to be present during these door-to-door or out into the community, that an actual fireman from the fire department themselves or a member has to be present at that time. So let me explain what we actually do, and I have done for 8, 9, 10 years now at Shell Road. What I actually do is I take a up-to-date photograph with this individual, a dated picture from the fire department stating what the fundraiser is for, who the individual is, and the intent of those funds if raised. It is signed and dated in which these fundraising activities will take place. So basically, it's stating what the time frame and that it is sanctioned by Shell Road Fire Department. Okay. It is actually laminated, and then on the back of this lamination is actually the information if we're trying to raise money for turnout or this is what that individual actually takes when they go door to door or out in the community soliciting funds, okay, or soliciting these activities. Once those activities are completed, that document that I have produced is actually returned and discarded. So my question to you, or what I would ask to be considered, that extent would be acceptable or permitted in lieu of an actual fire personnel being present with this person. Because you can imagine this guy is going out every day, you know, for 3, 4, 5 weeks soliciting these funds and such. So it was just, you know, that's how I've done it for years. We have had no complaints. Members actually follow up and say, hey, look, I appreciate the information you sent with this guy, because I know without a doubt, you know, that's Tim Cook sitting right beside this guy. It's dated. You know, every bit of the information is right there. Ourselves to that one line that says a fireman has to be there.
Right.
But looking for that little bit of leeway to.
How much do you
something.
guys usually, and since you've been doing it for, how many years you've been doing this now?
It's been close to 10 years now.
Right. How much do you guys usually net on something like that?
It fluctuates. We do it every 2 years intentionally, because if you do something every year,
Right.
it gets to where people don't want to do it.
Right.
We'll do it one time in Easter, one time for kids. We average anywhere at the end of the day between $1,000 to $1,800 a year.
Right.
And that's just in our little small neck of the woods.
Right.
You know, we're not the only department that does this. Star is currently trying to do it now. Places like Evergreen, Robin Hood. I mean, there's probably a dozen or half this particular
Right.
company and this particular activity works for. So
Right.
just something I wish you guys would consider discussing with Mr. Craig in the language
I
of this
think
amendment.
some of it wasn't it because we were gonna be there at night? Wasn't that the whole reason and all this?
The original ordinance states that it's from 8 to 5.
It's actually from 9 to 5.
9 when folks don't even get home until after
Right.
5. So what we had asked was to extend that until dark or dark 30, whatever the case may be. It gives us, a couple hours after 5 o'clock when those folks are actually at work and such.
Did we put a time on that as far as what, 7 or 8 o'clock, somewhere around there?
Well, before I answer that question.
Okay.
Under my section, it's the public comment, Tim maybe
Okay.
hang around and we
Right.
can take it up then.
All right.
Or, if you wanna go ahead and talk about it now, prepare to do that.
Tim, do you have anywhere to go right now as far as, okay, if you'll just hang out then, right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right, this time we have old business minutes approval, April 15th, 2014.
I move.
Got a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. This time we have consent agenda items.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Ms. Judy Fortenberry. Good morning.
Good morning. I have two items today. One is to approve a refund to Waylon and Shelley Martin on PIN number 46942. This is for a $300 chargeback that was for the previous.
Got a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
The second item is approval of a contract with Graphite Payments for our credit card processing for our in-house payments. We have had trouble with the present company, and Rusty, who's not here now, where'd he go? Well, gave us problems with his old company. We are gonna stay with them for the online processing because we've never had problems with that. But this company assures us we won't have that problem. So we need to try it because we're just too busy to have this delay that we're having with our present
Is this the one where it'll have the charge lessened, I guess, with using credit?
percent for the customer rather than 3.
Okay, so it'll actually lessen the charge for
Mhm.
people
Well,
coming in using credit
right.
cards.
So we gonna be able to keep the same deal with your online company? They're not gonna try to go up on their fees?
We hope so. We haven't told them yet. We're assuming they're gonna be glad to stay with us for that. but
Now, where are they from? This one?
This one,
Yeah.
the guy's from Madison.
Okay.
I'm not sure what that.
Have a motion to approve on this?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank
luck.
you. Appreciate it. Mr. Johnson. Good morning.
Good morning. My normal two items, requests, petition to change the 2013 real and personal property assessment roll.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Item B, petition to adjust the 2013 homestead exemption supplement roll.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Morrison.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Hey, John, before you, wait a minute. Let me just ask
You Put me
something.
on the spot.
No, well,
I'm doing so good.
do we have, on this West Rankin deal, question for him, do we have a TIF or anything on it?
No.
You know what?
No.
I
No.
mean, you have 4 TIFs in Flowood.
On this
TIFs in
project?
Flowood, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's all. I just
Thank you,
wanted-
John. All right, Mr. Dale Westbrook's road manager. Yeah, road work accomplished for April 2014, road work scheduled for May 2014.
Motion to approve both.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
We just wanted
Good
blood
job,
to run
Dale.
to your feet, that's all.
Mr. Charles Parker, County Consulting Engineer.
Here comes Judd.
Hey, in case y'all were
Mr.
wondering,
Parker.
today's Mr. Buster's
I was
birthday.
fixing to say, don't we
Is
have,
it really?
yeah, I was just fixing to say, don't we have that,
Go ahead and start it off.
it's Mr. Parker's birthday here,
Start.
Chuck.
Start us off, Craig.
All right, go.
I was,
Oh, man, come on.
now we've got the sheriff, so now we can really get started with Buster since it's his
Lead us in
birthday.
happy
Sheriff.
birthday for Mr. Parker.
Yes, please.
This ain't gray old man ain't what it used to be.
Fireman, that must be why the volunteer fireman's here, to make sure and put out the candles on.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. Yeah, it'd be 48.
What you got, sir?
2 items, quick. First item that I have is our old Highway 49 drainage improvements. All the easements were finally obtained, and I'm requesting authority to advertise.
Okay.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? Y'all sure y'all want to do this?
You want to add something to that, Buster?
All-
Drainage problem, you want to add something to that?
Well, there's a lot of them, I'll tell you that.
Mr. Morrison, Mr. Johnson, y'all ready to vote?
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you. Second item that I want to enter, you see them listed as far as the 2-inch plastic natural gas line across along several of our county roads. We have no, Dale and I have discussed this, we have no problem with this. And as you know now, in our utility permits, the attorney made some revisions to our utility permits to where in the future, if there's a problem, if we're going to is responsible for relocating.
That's what I was going to ask also. I know we've had on Highway 18, we've had a little trouble with them not burying it deep enough.
Right.
So we've got that verbiage in there also.
Actually, well, it's the same verbiage with respect to the installation of the utility.
How do we,
The only thing that we made an adjustment to on our permit was the requirement that the utility, if they receive the permit.
Right.
they
Deep
let the
enough
county
or
make the
out of
repair.
alignment, whatever the
Yeah,
case
but
may be.
If they're not doing it for money, if we're not paying them to move their utilities, can you imagine?
so we going
I
back
mean, when you
behind
pay them,
them?
you have a little bit of leverage, but
That's right.
Do we go back behind them to ensure that this thing is deep enough, whatever, because I
We do not make inspections on utility permits.
Okay. We just catch
We
it after,
can.
after the fact, after.
Yes, sir.
when a bush hog eats it.
Right.
Yes, when the bush hog eats it up, you say,
Greg, I don't know if we want to be in the business of inspecting
Right.
the work.
We just
Yes.
catch them afterwards.
the front end inspection, I agree with the attorney.
Gotcha.
Not be advised.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Bishop. Any more questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Craig Slay. Okay.
First item on the agenda under me is the transient vendor ordinance and the language that we were just discussing with
Okay.
Chief Cook. Chief Music here. Greg, to go back and answer your question about the time, and Jay may have had the same question about the time, what we are looking at is an ordinance that actually applies to any organization or individual that seeks to come in to Rankin County, obviously outside of incorporated areas, operations, and to do that on an infrequent basis. And so what we have is a regulation that requires that they be registered. And they go through the sheriff's office, and there's a vetting process there. They pay a fee, it's a bond associated with their work. They pay a fee for the actual license. It's limited to a restricted amount of time. I think it's 60 days. Is that we just exempt outright from our transient vendor ordinance. In other words, they're not required to go through the licensing process. They don't pay a fee. So we exempt some of organizations. We exempt religious organizations. We exempt recognized civic clubs, and we exempt schools, students in schools. And so what we were add the volunteer firefighters to that group of exempt organizations. All right, and so that was the whole basis behind it. If the volunteer firefighters are not exempt under Chief Cook's example, is required to be licensed and registered and pay the fee and to stay within the time restrictions, which is 9 to 5. And as you've already heard, that's problematic because it doesn't catch the timeframes when most folks are at home where the solicitation would have any effect, okay? And so when we were looking at that, by adding the firefighters in as an exempt organization, this individual, under Tim's example, would not be restricted to those timeframes, right?
Right.
So if they're exempt, that's clear. We cover the issue of the timeframes by simply having them be exempt.
Right.
When we were talking about updating our ordinance earlier and looking at the original language, I addressed in that exempt organizations could basically assign their right of exemption and defeat the purpose, the whole purpose behind the ordinance.
Right.
Okay? And so what we did was we started looking at some language with y'all's understanding. We started looking at some language that would tighten it up, tighten the exemption up a little bit. So make it clear that it's Rankin County religious organizations. Under the schools, I'm making it clear that it's the Rankin County schools or home schools or the Rankin County private schools. Under our recognized civic clubs, I'm tightening it up to say that they have a recognized local chapter of that organization in Rankin County. And so for the volunteer firefighters, obviously, it's limited to Rankin County firefighter organization. So that would cover Tim, and that would cover the gentleman who's doing work on their behalf. The other tightening up we did was we added language, or we have proposed language, directly discusses what Tim was saying. No organization or individuals granted exempt status may assign or transfer the exemption to any third party. So there's your anti-assignment language. Individuals pursuant to this ordinance must be conducted by the exempted individual or members of the exempt organization. No third party may assist with solicitation on behalf of the exempt individual or organization unless accompanied in person by an exempt individual or a member of or members of the exempt organization at the time of solicitation. So that's what Tim was saying. That's going to be the idea of having a photograph that's dated with the individual, with Tim's basic, with the fire chief's imprimatur with his stamp of approval on it, and then an explanation for what they're trying to do, solves to some degree this issue of having a member of the organization there, and I think that's an excellent way to.
Right.
It works for me,
Okay.
and I don't see a problem with doing it that way. They go the extra mile
Right.
to be sure that their folks know. I think what we're trying to make sure that we avoid is a situation where our otherwise exempt organizations are being taken advantage of.
Right. And that's, and it's admirable, that's what Chief Cook and I were talking about, it's admirable that, they're volunteers. So that's less money that we, the county, the taxpayers have to put into, your system, because you're actually out there trying to raise monies as they do chicken cookings and things like that. So it's, I think we need to help every which way we can, but I agree with you that we do need to have some type of a regulation on that, as in Chief Cook said the same thing.
My thought process, Greg, would be in the wrong spot here, but we put a lot of responsibility on the sheriff's department to review these organizations, these vendors, and I don't want to, at the end of this section where we talk about tightening up that exemption, maybe a statement in there that allows for the sheriff to have some discretion about the participation of third parties on behalf of an exempt organization, where if Tim produces a document like that and the sheriff's satisfied that it looks legit, then we would simply language here.
Okay.
It's still not a good idea to go after dark, though. I mean,
Yeah.
could we not limit it to daylight hours?
Chief Cook could, or excuse me,
I know chiefs.
could you kind of walk me through the process of how, from beginning to end, how this, from soliciting the pictures and then when the pictures are taken and
Absolutely. What happens is this individual, it is daylight hours. We're not doing anything after dark, absolutely not. But the way the process works is this individual comes up to a resident and says, hey, we've got a fundraiser going for Shell Road Fire Department. Here's the information, like we've discussed. And what happens is that individual has the option of, one, either just making a monetary donation straight to the fire department, which is setting an appointment with the photographer, and actually coming to the station, which we actually set up there at the fire department. It's usually on a Saturday or a Sunday. He comes and does his setup. He has his appointments. The folks come in and actually take their portrait. All right. Once the portrait is actually taken, the pictures are produced, and then they will meet at the fire station again. These dates, these times, they can come and actually view the pictures. They get a certain amount of those free right off the top for participating, and they have the option of actually purchasing more. And from whatever funds or whatever expenses they pay, we get a percentage of what they actually pay as far as buying donations if they don't want pictures at all. And then for those that just come up and get the free pictures, we get that as well. And it's
Okay.
usually about welcome from start to finish.
And how often do y'all usually do that, Tim? I mean, like you said, a couple times a year?
We do it every 2 years.
Okay, but even during this year, just say for instance, you're doing it this year, when would you do that around,
And knowing that we did ours last time at Christmas,
Right.
we would say we did it Easter 2 years ago.
Right.
We would do it Christmas this year,
okay,
and we would every 2 years.
for about 2 or 3 weeks, something around there?
It usually runs for about a month to 6 weeks.
Okay,
By the time you do the soliciting itself, get the photographs actually taken, get them processed, and then meeting those individuals back at the station,
finalizing everything.
finalizing everything.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Sheriff?
It wasn't Shell Road, but another fire department had that the photographer got mad at me because he wanted to do things his way. And this is what I'm doing. If it's a local fire department or anything like that, they come in, they fill out the application, I waive all the fees, but I still want to know who's going door to door out there and on the background done on, because I don't want a sex offender going door to door selling
Right.
selling stuff.
Exactly.
So I'll waive all the fees, it ain't gonna cost them a thing, but they still have to get with these folks from out of county, they're going to come in, they're going to post a bond.
Right.
If it's a local fire department or a nonprofit organization, I don't have a problem waiving it and giving them a permit, but I want them to have a permit, because the deputies don't know any different. If the fire's going door to door, says up, where's your permit, the deputy's not gonna know, he doesn't have to have one. I still want everybody to come and get a permit, so I can have that
Right.
background, and they have it in their hands, saying, yes, okay for me to go door to door.
Right.
Exactly.
So, knowing all that,
Technically, yes, because it's not clear from our existing ordinance, Jay, that volunteer firefighters fall into one of the classifications of exemption.
well, if they're
It's just not
exempt,
there.
It's not a firefighter going door to door now, it's an individual.
Right.
Fireman going door to
He
door.
meant, I think he's saying fire
Because
department.
he's taking a picture with Chief Cook with him.
but
when he
even
goes.
if they're exempt, they
He prefers that they come get a
I do
permit.
too.
We need to
If it's
clarify
just-
that.
If it's just them going, no, they don't have to have one. But if they're contracted with somebody, you own that contract to
Yeah.
get a permit.
I agree, otherwise you run a
I
situation.
agree with that, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah,
As I
because you know, the
think that-
situation we had down in Clear Branch where the guy was going door to door about, what was he, washing houses or something, anyway. Right, didn't have anything, and he wound up being a problem. Right, so,
Yeah.
right.
So-
And I tell you, another issue I have, I'm not trying to cause a player and ledger any harm, but I really prefer the player and ledger come start, we'll waive it for them, if they done hired somebody out of another county to come over here and do this, but we'll give them a permit free of charge, but I wanna know who's not gonna be involved.
I agree with you because all they have to say is we're with them, and that's kind of what I was trying to be careful of, is you're using your name or using whatever's name just to be out there, and that's the reason I think the permit is important. And it's a shame it's come to that about down in Clear Branch. That white woman was there with her children, hid behind the door, they wouldn't leave. Yeah, yeah,
We can,
And that's why we've gone the extra mile to do it.
right.
Right. Well, this basically comes
Very reasonable.
comes down to two things. Safety's number one, and as everything, the sheriff does a great job. I'm loving that because that way it's checked out through you. It's a third party, so we
Yeah.
need that checked out tremendously. And any four to offset the cost and stuff, so it's a unison work. So Craig,
Yeah.
if there's anything you can do to make sure that all this works together.
there is. I would suggest that we have another quick paragraph added under the exempt organizations that say that the exempt organizations go to the sheriff's office and be provided a permit.
Correct.
That's not clear in the existing ordinance.
Right.
And then secondarily, that really gives the sheriff some broad discretion
Right.
to include other similarly situated organizations as exempt and not charge the fee as long as out the deputies not knowing who has one and who
Right.
doesn't is
Right.
a valid point.
Sure.
That's exactly right.
Sure, they're
we'll
trying
just
to do
make
their
sure
job
everybody gets one.
and just going by hearsay,
Got it.
yeah,
Yep.
good. Glad
Just make
you
sure
brought
everybody
that
gets
up.
one. That's a good point.
Good.
Okay.
I'll add those and bring it back to you on the 15th. Will that work for you, Tim? All right.
Sounds great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Brian.
This is not gonna affect the peanut man, is it?
He doesn't go door to door soliciting.
Right. As long as
He
you don't go
sets
door to
up.
door.
He's a moving target.
Yep, he sets up.
Yeah, yeah, we don't want
You don't
to
have to
follow the
stop,
peanut
Walter.
man.
As long as he's not in District 2. Whatever you design, every pigeon droppers out there.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Moving on, we've got public hearings.
Yes, sir. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on the drive. This time I'll ask, is there anyone to speak in opposition to the Ronald Evans conditional use request, 110 Kirby Drive? Anyone? Mr. President, I don't see anyone in opposition. Mr. Evans is requesting a conditional use to build a second dwelling on the property of 110 Kirby Drive. This is a 1.40 acre parcel zoned. This is in Mr. Morrison's district.
I make a motion, close the public hearing, move, and approve this.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Morrison, second by all opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, the next item is we need action to set a public hearing for May the 15th, 2014, 9 a.m. for the Berg Cowan Development LLC dimensional variance request, District 2. This is on Glens View Drive.
Okay, do I have a motion to set that public hearing?
I make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, the next items D, E, F, and G are all nuisance property actions, and the hearings will be at the same time and date, May 29th at 9 a.m. for Virginia Hassey, Houston Stapleton Estate, Mary Chu, and I can't pronounce that, Bowie, and Edward Watts. Maybe one motion to set all.
Motion by Mr. Brown, second by Mr. Bishop. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. J.K. Stringer, County Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first item is one of those items that has kept coming back, and it has to do with the payment of the allowance for lost costs. We had this set aside, saying that they were going to bypass the $1,800 for 2013 with the idea that the board then would authorize them to be under. It was a good idea, except we are finding out that it's just not legal. That the $1,800 is an entitlement. PERS looks at it as an entitlement. PERS says that they're going to charge the PERS assessment of whether the constables get it or not, and that we really don't have the authority not to give it to them. It's kind of where we are, and this is one of the items that the amount of time we have expended on it, we probably would have been better off doing it to start with.
Let me ask you a question though. So what you're saying is, from what I've been hearing 6.5 years, that it's all or nothing, but now it's everything. We don't have a
No,
choice.
what it is now is it has become entitlement.
Whether they ask for it or not, I want to remind you guys that they specifically refused to request it this year.
Right.
With the understanding that by doing so, the county would move them to W-2.
Right.
And begin functioning as if they are completely pure employees.
Right.
They never made the request, and PERS said it doesn't matter out of what you should have given them. Now, everybody's clear about PERS's position.
Right.
Whether they asked for it or not.
Right. Now that's fine, but what about the 1,800?
If we don't pay them that, the county will pay the 15.75%, or is it 24.75 that we'll pay?
Actually, they're taking the 80s and making our assessment off of that.
Okay.
So it'll be a different amount on each one of them.
The county will pay.
But we'll pay our portion, they will be
They
responsible
will
to
pay
pay
their
their portion, whether or not they get the money.
Correct.
So therefore, if they're gonna pay it, they want the money.
It'd be wise to live.
Okay. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Johnson.
And
Well,
that's a
first
motion
now,
to pay the
Since
$1,800.
they're getting 1,800, they lose the W-2, right? I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well, there's already a little, that anyway.
See, they want 20,000.
There's already an issue with
There's
the
already
W-2.
an issue with that anyway that we've got to clear up.
Really?
Hurry's gonna get that.
All right, any more questions on this matter as of right now? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. You good to go, Hoopy?
I think so. Just be aware, this, the next item is, request for the city of Brandon for financial support for a bridge replacement on, Highway 80. And I think the mayor is here, and he was here at our working meeting, last week, and we discussed this some. But it's basically, it is a request that the county, out of Bridge and cover the cost of the bridge, which is right down at the foot of the hill here, and it's about a $528,000 issue.
Wow.
Mayor Lee, you want to step forward and
It's
kind of
not
give
a
a
state highway?
kind of give a brief overview on what you've collected and what's it's amazing every once in a while we get a lot of mayors together in the same room.
With something that keeps coming before us and won't ever go away. I thought he was referring to me. But disconcerting. Brief overview, I'll say the same thing, and we're trying to sew together multiple agencies to accommodate a change in that highway in downtown Brandon to alleviate traffic concerns on that end of town. We have secured $300,000 through MPO for 2 signals. That was not going to cover the cost of those signals. The city of Brandon will bear the rest of that. We've secured $500 from MDOT through the bond, but that will cover a portion of that cost. The city's going to cover a portion of that cost, and what we're looking for from the county is a portion only on the bridge. We want to put a continuous turn lane from Lewis Wilson all the way through Trickham Bridge Road with 2 signals, so that traffic can continue to go by as people try to turn right or left to get to the, there's a problem on the Pleasant Street from Rankin County School District maintenance office and residents in there as well. And it's a problem on the Trickham Bridge side with all the folks that live out Trickham Bridge Road that come into town. So it's a constant bottleneck. There have been numerous accidents there over the years. And if you travel that and look at it in the context I'm about to describe it, you'll really understand it. You're traveling down Highway 80 and you approach a point that is actually 4 lanes wide. You got a turn lane to the left, which turns into office complexes, and you've got 2 travel lanes. Probably 50 yards later, you have a street, Wisteria, that turns to the left. It's a problem. You've got another street that turns to the left, which is Meadow Lane. So but by the time you traverse 100 yards, you've gone from a 4-lane to a 2-lane bottleneck on that bridge, which the Federal Highway Administration describes. That's what we're trying to do, is some of our bridge and culvert money to help sew together an interlocal agreement. We provided that to council here. Our council created that. And once it leaves here, if we're successful, then I'll go to or else the city's going to have to put into it on the engineering to accomplish this.
Why would not MDOT, since that's no different, 468, 469, this is 80 highway, why would they not fund the bridge? And why would, I mean, we don't usually do state MDOT's work. I mean, they'd love to see us funding bridges and all. Why?
Rough times at MDOT is all I can say. We're reaching to other venues and other pots of money. I understand that through my discussions with the board that ad valorem money is there and bridge fund to support the city of Brandon. That's where those funds came from that the county has. So that's what we're asking to reach out to use those funds.
The only problem I have is the fact that it is a state aid.
It is a federal highway.
Right,
It is a
and
state
so
highway.
we don't do the ones on bridges on other highways. I mean, it's nothing against where it is or anything. It's just, it is what it is. It's a state highway.
We began looking out through the city at bridges that are problematic, and we have 2 others. One is on Pleasant Street, which is actually sitting on Chris Oak Post, and we have one about in the future trying to get this end of Luckney Road converted to state aid in time so we can begin to improve that travel route back and forth to Flowood as well. So really, that's the only three, in essence, I guess, from a taxpayer point of view, you're taxing the citizens of Brandon, but yet we don't have bridges to put that funding, that ad valorem money into. So, you know, from our
Well,
perspective, it's.
Okay, won't we be helpful on those other bridges, on Luckney and all? I mean, isn't that something that we would?
I think we always help with
Right.
just about every bridge.
Right, I say,
Buster, let me ask you a question. How I think we have in the past, haven't we? On state highways at all, or not?
I do not recall. There may be one out there, I don't recall. The county's participated as far as bridges, about anywhere you want to look.
Right.
You know, you're participating in one for right now. But I'm not aware of one on the.
well, state or federal, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I'm just not aware of one. I don't recall if we have.
But now, like you said, the one like, I think on Luckney, that would one would fall in there for us to do there. It's
What is the, I know you, I asked you the other day, what is the proposed cost estimate of that?
We haven't put the money, $1.6 million. And, you know, part of the goal of this too is put a sidewalk, at least on the south side, if not the north and the south, so we can begin to get foot traffic to move into downtown Brandon. What we're gonna do is create not only a turn lane from those two intersections to alleviate traffic concerns, but it's also a general, first we were thinking of starting on the west end of downtown and begin improvements coming into downtown. But the MPO money popped up, that $300,000. We want to use that money as quickly as we can and don't want it to go away. And we were very successful in getting 500 through the state legislature this year. So we're looking at, we kind of want to jump on this while we've got an opportunity to move on.
What 500 did you get through the legislature?
Specifically for that project. And I don't have that project in front of me, but I think I've supplied that in the interlocal.
When you say 1 point, how much, now what are you looking for from the county assets?
Only for the bridge.
Just for the bridge?
Just for the bridge.
Which is how much?
The estimate that we got from guest consultants in front of you in that packet, 523, 528, something like that.
28,960.
So, you know, something like up to 500 and city bear the rest of that, whatever that turns into.
Gotcha.
The only problem I have is this just sets up back in, Greg, you bring this up a lot, so that's the precedent of us doing state projects, or bridges or whatever that is on their roads.
Well, I think this is unique in that he's formed, you know, there's been an interlocal agreement formed between.
It's still
WA,
gonna be a state
MDOT.
highway or federal road, and then we don't usually do them. That's the thing. We don't.
Man, I
we
don't want to
do
get
that.
into doing this, you know, I don't want Pearl and Flowood coming in and
That's-
doing some project in the future and asking us to replace a bridge
That's on
on
state
Lakeland
highway.
Drive or Highway 80.
Lakeland
I want to
Drive.
help you though. I mean,
That's my only.
past this.
There is one little nuance here that I think that we want to talk about. That this road right out here supports our county facilities,
The whole government?
the county government. And down to where he's talking about, a lot of people come in to county government. So
Being the
I
county
don't know
seat,
what that,
yes.
I don't know how influential that is, but that we are sitting in the middle of Brandon, running county government.
Well, and I think that, I'm really surprised at MDOT not taking care of their own bridge.
Well,
Really?
I mean, and I wouldn't go hard. I think you could drive around and tell they're spreading money around everywhere else, maybe but right here. And you'll have to agree.
I'm not gonna disagree with you, but I can also say, if you don't wanna fund the bridge, then you could fund the turn bridge, and I've got the money from the county to fund the turn lanes to support the two signals. So I can play that either way.
How far are you planning on going? Are you going over Trickham Bridge, over the
Yes,
hill?
turn lanes over Trickham Bridge so that there are turn lanes right and left at Trickham Bridge, going both directions, east and west.
Isn't that,
Ultimately, this is kind of a phase one project, and it was accelerated, wasn't able to get it in the transportation plan because the 300,000 came from MP. This is really kind of a phase one project. Phase two would be a 3 or 4 lane all the way out to exit 59 to help
Yeah, sure.
streamline that traffic. So this is kind of phase one of a two-phase project.
The only thing, Mayor, is like Jay said, you got Flowood, Pearl, everywhere else that has
7 municipalities.
bridges. Well, I'm just saying, you get every one of them that have anywhere there's a state aid or federal highway comes through. You know, this is just gonna open the door. And you know it will.
We
know it will.
we know it will. I guess I'm like Mr. Stringer, though. I know that, you know, no other city has government facilities downtown either, and the county government seat, you know, because in all essence, we really don't bring in a lot of money from the county seat to Brandon. I mean, I don't know much money that we put into from our buildings over here to the city of Brandon.
And actually, you're talking about adding 2 more buildings in the downtown area, and that much
Right.
more traffic, you know. I know the sheriff is gonna be talking about expanding facilities in the back and a new,
So it is unique in situation, and if anyone's been downtown, whenever we have any kind of 18-wheeler flip over, whatever, when they move these off of 20, if you've ever been downtown Brandon, you think Lakeland Drive's bad, try to get on Government Street out here.
What do you estimate the cost of the turn lanes?
on engineering until I,
Okay.
you know, ascertain what the board's will area is. In other words, if I've got to go out there and find another $500,000 to do a bridge or turn lanes, and I've got to go fishing somewhere else down there.
I'd rather do the bridge than actually lay road on the highway.
With consideration to, again, as I go back to bridge and culvert, this, do we have the money in bridge and culvert to be able to do something like this?
And we got the money in the bridge fund.
I just want to make sure.
Well, it was about this West Rankin deal.
Yeah.
That's bridge fund too. I got some discussion on that one in itself. I don't know, I think we're just gonna start. I mean, you can justify it by saying one thing or another, but still, the bottom line is we're contributing, coming, you just don't know when. Start Lakeland Drive or wherever.
I don't know of Lakeland Drive, if they have a, what'd you call it, federally functionally deficient bridge though, on Lakeland Drive?
I don't know, not necessarily the bridge, it would be something. I mean, once they see we're starting to contribute to state or federal project, then they would, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bridge, but I know we haven't been doing that.
Right.
On 469, 468, Highway 18, is that correct?
Yeah, actually we are doing one out on 460. Let's see, did we do one on 4?
Right. And like you said, the ones you're talking about within the city, I know we do those. That you talk, like, what was the road named a minute ago?
Pleasant.
Pleasant.
Or Pleasant.
I mean, we do the bridges that, we always help the cities with the bridges inside the city limits that aren't, but they're not the state highway or federal roads, but we do them. And so you're talking about that, so we would be there for that, I'm sure.
Well, I guess in back at the last 6.5 years, I haven't seen Brandon come to the table on a lot of, and that may have been due to leadership, whatever, lack of, or whatever, and I'm not saying throwing anybody under the bus. But when they come to ask for help, you know, and yet we have yet to step up because no one has ever come to us to ask for help. So, you know, there's no, and
That's the thing, you're right.
bottom line is, they're asking for help, they need the help. It is a safety concern. So,
A road is a road,
Is a road.
especially if you're trying to go east.
that's exactly right.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
can I ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to put the mayor on the spot, but I'm just curious, in terms of prioritization, this bridge seemed high priority item, and there's some time frames that you're working from. You mentioned the bridge on Pleasant. Is that particular project somewhat of a lower priority than this particular project?
Absolutely. And the reason why is because of traffic on that bridge.
Right. I was just curious if that was the type of project that perhaps Brandon could delay it to a point where it could figure out the cost associated with that and figure out a way to fund that cost without having to come back and ask for assistance on the Pleasant Street Bridge. And in exchange, you guys can provide assistance on this 80 bridge, knowing that the Pleasant Street Bridge is going to be handled by Brandon internally, or at least that's the plan.
For me, and for the best use of the dollar for the taxpayers of Brandon, the best thing to do is tie those two things together. I didn't want to mix these two because we've got MPO money and MDOT money tied in here as well. So I'm trying to separate that from any discussion with the Pleasant Street Bridge. But they're less than a quarter mile apart. I mean, if you got the equipment there to rebuild one, then it only makes sense to try to figure out a way to tag those two. Is going to be figuring out that $500,000 from the state and how much the city's going to have to put into it. Well, ultimately, that would be the goal, since you've got all the construction equipment there, to turn around and fix them both at the same time, financial side of it.
Well, then you.
That's the best use of the taxpayers' dollar.
Okay, but would you be, so what he suggested, would that be something then that if we help fund this one, you would fund the other one?
We'd work toward trying to figure something out of a way to do that, because that, while you've got the equipment there,
Yeah, I
that's the time to
understand.
fix it.
Well,
You're in construction.
Oh, I understand, and I'm saying, what I'm saying though, if we did, and you do this one, or we do, this one and you do Pleasant Street, is that,
Yeah, and
like kind of what-
to describe that bridge is going to be taken off, and it's a problem because you've never been able to get cranes there to do that because of energy power lines directly overhead.
Right.
So it's problematic in that sense, but the bridge has got to be removed, then build the pilings and put the bridge back on there, basically.
right, yeah,
That's the long and short of
yeah.
it.
That's the way they might, you probably have to have may even have to have a bypass around it. Right, but I mean, if you're, is that something that we do one or the other? And you fund the other one?
When I get to the engineering to determine the cost to be the one, but,
Yeah, we're kind of shooting in the dark right now. We
That's
don't know
right.
what Pleasant Street is going to cost.
critical mass is on the highway.
Yeah,
Right. Always has been.
That's where the need is at.
right.
Well, I guess, I mean, I'm just wanting to hear
I wouldn't,
I wanted to hear a yes too.
I know, but I'm talking about one or the other. Would you be willing to work it that way?
I don't think it'd be
Because it's
fair
a
to-
state highway.
Well, beside that,
Yeah.
it's still a road that everybody rides on, and I'm not willing to let you put the mayor on the spot
Okay.
for something that I'm gonna probably be in support of, fixing both bridges.
All right, well, what are you gonna do, Bridge goes out in a state, you gonna go ahead and fix it too, because everybody travels it?
Who's gonna come and request it?
Hmm?
Who's gonna come and request it?
Well, it's gonna come somewhere.
Well, whoever it is, I'm gonna badger them.
But we got one down to a farm. No, I'm just saying, I wouldn't even have to tell them it's a state aid road.
Well, the bottom line is,
And
again, I
everybody travels.
go back to, this is seat. I mean, we're talking, everyone comes into this, and we're talking from all the whole end of that, end of the county and everything else coming through there. So it's not like this is a
I
county.
think it's, indicative of how government's supposed to work.
Right.
If you can get multiple agencies involved in the same project, everything, you can get things moved.
How much is MDOT putting in it?
500.
In the bridge?
500,000.
Not in the
All right.
bridge, no,
Hmm.
not in the bridge.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Just 500 into the project.
500.
Put anything.
And until I get to a specific number through engineering.
Right.
And, my position is, why should I spend any engineering money till I know we've got some agreement that we can sew these 4 entities together? But another example, back to how government's supposed to work. Go back 7 days from right now, we had a tornado in Brandon. In Brandon, Mississippi.
Really?
So we're on our own. That's just
Yeah.
nature of the beast. Now, I'm not diminishing what's happened in Louisville and Tupelo, because I know it's horrible.
Right.
Federal government has not been in Brandon, Mississippi to this point in time, 7 days later, even though it's been declared a disaster. So, like you say, a bridge goes out somewhere, I would think you'd want somewhere, but you would be part of that solution, whether it's on, regardless of what municipality is in it. You know,
Right.
You want to be part of the solution rather than sit back saying, I don't know.
You know, guys, we have a TIF policy that we use that helps us to sort of be able to keep a rein on requests. We'd like this that can be looked at, that would help us with requests in the future. Build in some parameters,
They get,
US Highway, the county's participation.
Would not exceed.
In some way, take it out of District 2. State aid highway, whatever.
Right.
You could introduce that at some point if the concern is that there will be a number of requests.
Right.
That would cause it to be out of control.
I just, honestly, I don't see this as I think I see it as a unique situation.
It is that. I agree. It is unique.
Butch, let me ask you, you said again, I want to just clarify, so you're asking from the county not to exceed $529,000 from the bridge?
Or you can get 500, I just need a number to run with.
Right.
That I can
'Cause I
start beating
think
up
I-
on MDOT with.
I think I've narrowed it down to about 529,000. So,
That's right. That's what's in the
Bridge without a dollar amount or not, or do we need to put a not to exceed or?
They've actually presented us with a signed by Brandon Interlocal, approved and already signed by Brandon Interlocal, dated April 22. So I think the motion would be for the county to enter into this interlocal agreement, which has the county's commitment spelled out in it, which is 528,960.
okay.
Interlocal agreement with the city of Brandon on
Okay,
the West Government Street project.
got a motion by Mr. Johnson. Second by Mr. Brown. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion
Nay.
carries. At 4-1.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you. Good luck in the future there with your continual cleanup. Job out there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right.
Next item is the authority to purchase a new 3/4 ton pickup with EMSOL funds. This is a pickup that will be purchased for our EOC, and the current pickup that they have then will be given to it escapes me right now.
I
which
can
one.
tell you which one's Puckett.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yes, sir.
We,
this a what now? Dodge, okay, Dodge.
This is not county funds.
Right.
This is grant
This
funds.
is grant
Yeah.
fund.
As a matter of fact, we had talked about it during budget time, but we said, hey, let's wait till later in the year, make sure that we don't have some sort
Good
of
thing I do
other
is make it
emergency.
a fire, like a brush truck.
Okay, I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Mr. President, I have additional business. The first one is the mayor talking about it, FEMA's hadn't been here. Well, they're here now. And they're setting up shop down in our EOC common room, down in that building. And of course, what that's done is we've had to, there's some people who thought they were going to use that building, not going to get to use it now for deposits to use it. So I'd like the board to consider giving us the authority to return the deposits to the people who thought they were going to use the building. We have to return the deposits. And I don't know all of them right
They
now.
understand it's because of emergency
Yes,
situation.
yes.
Good.
Okay. So
How
if
long
we
do they
could-
intend to be there?
The contract that we have with them is 60 days, but I hope you don't know, but hopefully it's just a matter of weeks. But I can't answer that
We
question.
sign a contract with them?
Yes, for the use of that building. Because FEMA couldn't come in unless they had a contract for the use of a facility.
It's a
I
shame.
signed it on Saturday.
Shame we don't have.
Shame we don't have the
same.
safe room
Yeah.
ready to go already, but
Yeah.
it's coming. So.
We could probably lease out our equine facility.
All right, let's not add that one yet. Let's hear all four of them, then we can add
Okay,
more.
and the next one is one I think I have talked to most of you individually about, or mentioned to you, but we need to start really considering it. And it has to do with our communication system in the county, throughout the county, communication system that is on the towers, and so forth, and communication system, over-the-air communication system. The one that we have now is reached its end of life. It's an analog system, no doubt, but it is going to be a multi-million-dollar system, and we need to start discussing that. Hopefully, we can get some people in here to discuss it with you at the next meeting or so, and to answer your questions about it before we start really committing dollars to it.
Okay.
And maybe Bill,
Here to the next meeting. And the other item is just an overall fire brief. In other words, the whole fire system brief for the fire department, what we need, what the various ones of them are, trucks, facilities, that type of stuff. And I hope to have a brief on that at the work session at the end of the month. The other item is, I don't know if we want to continue to discuss using, during the emergencies, going on the private property, that issue or not, that we had a discussion with at the work meeting. Just for refresh, since 1992, it's pretty well been our policy that we didn't go on private properties, that if the debris got moved to the street, we'd pick it up off the street, but we didn't go on private property. The discussion has come up on, are there circumstances on where we work with county resources? And we didn't really come to a conclusion on that.
Well, I've had some discussion about that. The situation I could see in that, it wouldn't be to go to clean up, and I think we don't need to be in the cleanup business, but it'd be if you needed to open up a driveway or a doorway or some way, in some situation, maybe if it was a tree on a portion of the house that you had to try to do something, you really want to stay away from the tree on the house situation because of liability reasons, I feel sure. But I think if, situations, we can't word it as cleanup, because we can't be in the cleanup business to go clean up. But I think in situations where a tree or something block the road or block the entrance to a house, we need to be able to try to help maybe get in there.
I think the sheriff has given some thought to this and has some ideas. You want to?
well, didn't we during Katrina, there were some instances where we had to actually get off on the private property in some cases, didn't we?
It all goes back to the law is clear as it can be. This says you can remove storm debris. So technically, I can get 30 inmates. I go get rakes. I could go be out there right now raking people's leaves out of them. I'm not going to do that. That's ridiculous. I'm not going to do it. But if I got people, the other day, I got that 30 inmates out. I had probably 15 chainsaws. My number one priority was get the roads open. So that's what we did. We got the roads open. I've already talked with Hoopy about we need to get some, with the EOC, get some kind of equipment to test power lines to see if they're hot or not. So number one, get roads open. Number two, get people's driveways open. Because let me tell you something, I went to a house right down here on Prescott. This is 2 days, it has trees all over her house. I'm talking about pine trees. She can't get a car out. I hear a generator now. I knock on the door. And she goes, thank God, I pray for God to send me an angel. He sent me Sheriff Bailey. Her mom's in there, Alzheimer's patient. She can't get a car out. Luckily, Brandon let a nurse come in there. So yeah, I got inmates. I opened up her driveway. We pulled the car around. We had it back in, or if she had to get her mother out there, we could do it. Each case is going to be a case-by-case deal getting in out there. But as far as going out there and raking yards up, no, I'm not going to do that. I had another man had a tree on his roof. I knew that I was able to get that tree down without causing any more damage to his house. He's some real man that could not do it himself. We put plastic over the part of his roof that was messed up. There's not a thing wrong with that. The law says we can do it. That's what we're here to do. The government's here to help people in time of need. That's what that's what I'm going to do, is help them. But as far as, and again, it's going to be a case-by-case basis, but we're talking with Hoopy. Number one, the public roads, get them open for emergency vehicles, we can get them out. Number two, getting in and out of people's houses, if the door, front door, back door, that's what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's making it where people can get in and out.
That's what I was saying.
For safety situations.
That's what I was saying. I can go along with that, but also it has to be kind of in an emergency, emergency situation or declared emergency. It can't.
Definitely, only under state of emergency.
Yeah, because we, just random tree falls here, getting it out. There's randomly that happens.
Believe me, there's trees we had to pass up through a pine trees that big around. leaning towards somebody's house, I said, y'all, there's nothing I can do. I don't have the experience or
Right.
anything like that. I'm not about to make a bid out of something like that.
right.
But if there's something I can do, I want to do it, and we all want to do it.
So, is there a need for a policy? Can we not just leave this as is and deal with it on a case by?
We're talking about a statute and interpretations of the, you know, the emergency operations statutes that are already in place. These are FEMA type statute sections of the law, and it refers to counties and municipalities within that. So these are specialized statutes that deal directly with emergency situations. Sheriff's correct in that there is significantly more authority once there is the declaration of an emergency for the use of taxpayer funds and assets. And but I think by way of practicality, it will always be a judgment call. And I think the last thing we need is a policy that would put one of our responders in a situation where they're having to ask themselves the question, is this really a safety emergency?
Yeah.
So I would prefer that we not have a direct policy on it. Let me clarify. In these emergency situations, we're oftentimes talking about the county being involved in a process where the county is entitled to reimbursement for what it spends, labor, equipment, and other assets in responding to emergencies. And some of the reimbursement's pretty significant, up to 85%, depending on when that response occurs. And I'm not suggesting that we need to be concerned about that necessarily.
Filling out paperwork every house we go to?
Correct. And my point is this, there will be times when responses are required, that on the backside of that, FEMA's gonna say, we're not gonna pay for that.
Documentation is very important.
You
From the
gotta have
last
the
storm that we
documents.
related to, remember we had all that trouble with all that documentation about reimbursement too, so we have to be
Yes.
extremely dot i's and cross t's and making sure that what we do is,
We're not gonna stand there and look at a situation and say, I wonder if FEMA pays back for this. We're
Right.
not gonna do that.
No.
But you guys need to understand that there will be situations where FEMA
Right.
will say, we're not gonna.
Money sticky with the sun, don't shine. Our job's to help people.
Right, exactly.
Help people in time of need, and that's what we need to do.
I'm
But
not,
I think that you're correct, that you're gonna make that decision no matter what. You're out there and you're on the ground already anyway, so you already see what goes on and what needs to be. So basically, if you're gonna make that decision and you feel it deemed necessary to do something like that, I don't think any one of these board members would even say anything.
Talk about something said in the past, we got some people in the public in here. We can also any problem at all with what we're talking about here going, if there's a state of emergency going to helping people, get a car out of the driveway,
I think we all agree there. That's beyond, without question. I think the only question that I had is we don't want to be looked at as the cleanup
No, you're right.
people.
We don't have the resources.
Right. No, I know you don't, but
Yeah.
we might have them in equipment wise, and we don't need to be, people look at us to be the ones that clean it up. We're there to open it up and make it, for the safe, make it safe. Like you said, the roads, the drives, things that, environment.
And what I propose is after everything kind of calms down, that we all kind of sit down, after the fact, within a couple of weeks or so, and just kind of go over some scenarios. That way we're all on the same page. I mean, right now, everyone's tired, everyone's sleepy. I know you guys have been busting your tail out there and work along with the cities, the county, everything, so.
Well, and I tell you, I had more people complain about seeing my inmates out there cutting trees at Shiloh Park, getting ready for rain day, instead of being out there helping get the roads cleared up. I had two people
Oh,
say
yeah.
something to me about that.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I can imagine, yeah. Thank you, Sheriff.
Now, Mr. President, as a final item, before we go back and is here, wants to give us a quick update on the website project.
I've laid all this on your desk. We're currently behind on our roadmap. That's the roadmap that's in front of you. We have had our initial design meetings, and that's where we're in. We're currently in the design phase. We have a photographer that's scheduling to take pictures. All issues are taken care of. We've decided on our menus. We've decided on our layouts. We've decided on our key services. We've decided on every page layout there is so far. We're going to have to hire a logo designer. I'm going to meet with him very soon to get a quote because our current design can't be used.
Could
Go
we
ahead.
not maybe make this a community involvement?
It depends. What do you mean by community involvement?
Like put in the paper and have somebody submit one?
Can, if that's the direction y'all want to go.
Or will it hold us up on being able to move forward?
Yes.
Never mind.
Design can't move forward without they're going to, the logo designer that they have directed us to is a third party.
All right.
You've already checked them out?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You feel good about them?
Yes, sir. We've chosen a color palette, and the color palette that is listed there in the middle, those 5 colors are the colors we're going to go with for the design.
Okay.
We're starting to speed up the design because I got a little behind because of it's my fault I haven't been able to get them the deliverables on the time for delivery of the website. It'll be a little sooner than that the county employees will be able to get to it, but it won't be public live until around November.
Are we gonna put on there, have one that'll do the query?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Which query? The
Maps?
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That's going to be listed in the key services menu on the homepage.
So it's not gonna have a menu by itself?
Yes, it will be in the menu by itself on the homepage, and then the side menu you can add it to any page you want to.
But it won't be forwarded that was one of
The
highest
top
use.
the top menu. You're talking about the land roll search, is that correct?
Yeah.
The top
Well,
menu will.
Well, we're gonna actually have where we can do more than that now, but.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The top menu, it will be in the top menu as part of a drop down. Okay, and it will be on the home page as part of the maps, land roll search, deed search, all that. It will be part of what
Printable, right?
You've been helping them out. All right.
Say that again.
Non-printable, right?
No,
That's correct.
I knew
That's correct.
moving so smooth. You've been right in there.
It's just going to link to whatever services are
Or they just
being
can't
done.
download and print.
No, it will link just to the services being offered.
Okay. Everyone, this project forward?
I don't think there's much I can add to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Will it have my property record card?
We're still working on it. We don't have a way to currently pull up, 40,000 records, host them, and all that other stuff. And we can't link directly with that AS400 part of the database, but we're working on it.
Now,
Isn't that something that it needs to have, though?
Yes, that's one of John's requirements was an integration with the maps that are being done, with the
Right.
deed search that's being done, and some of the data that the tax assessor will have. It will take a lot of time to get this stuff done, but I believe we can do it.
Well, I mean, do we need a, you're saying you believe we can,
Like a land roll search and all that?
Yes.
Property record cards that appraisers and real estate companies, what I'm trying to do is alleviate calls coming into my office by having everything online so they can look at.
Right.
Year bill, square footage, all those things out there.
Which you
Right.
do if you know the
And
ID.
sketch of the house, everything.
Right.
And also that'll help me if I have some errors on where I have an error, and that's what I want to correct. If
Well,
I have it.
will that not have a link that he could
This is
actually
not
get
something
to?
that this
I
company
can
can
say
do.
that's nothing to do with the website.
This is there's
Oh.
40,000 images that are stored in our mainframe
Right.
that we will have to pull out and deliver. And so this will be something sort of along the lines of the voter registration lookup. Michelle Adcock and I are going to be designing that.
But this, yeah, it had nothing, this is just something I want. But it'll benefit Rankin County.
Sure,
Right.
sure it would.
Everything we do benefits Rankin.
Put that on your resume, John.
Okay.
All right.
All right. The final item is go back up to the request to add an item to the agenda that who had reserved the common room
Oh,
down
yeah.
to EOC.
Right.
If they're not able to use it as a result of FEMA being in there using it.
Okay, do I have that motion? Item
make
for the
the
agenda.
motion.
Motion by Mr. Morrison.
Second.
Second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Now you want to vote for it?
Yeah,
Vote.
now we need motion to.
I make a motion to refund them.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? On these people, I know that we had a couple questions the other day. Are we trying to help assist to, I think there was.
Yes.
I talked with that, Doug's checking on it, that one that was in discussion.
Right.
Might possibly can use green.
Okay, good. Yeah, we had a couple of them that had some birthday parties for a 90-year-old lady and stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
you know, we're
that's-
trying to make some ways where at least we can offer out some areas for them, so.
Right.
We
So-
do have the alternative that we're continuing to finish the human resource building, but the
Okay. All right, any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries.
that's
Okay.
all I have. Mr.
Anything
President.
else?
Greg, I've got about, seriously, I need y'all for about 3 minutes to discuss one item executive session that involves current litigation.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to discuss the need to go into executive session.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson,
Second.
second by Mr. Morrison. Any more questions?
did. You're good to go.
I don't see a recording. Okay. Let the records reflect that no action was taken in executive session. Now, we need to add to item, a couple
A
items.
motion to add one, or my item, and I'm going to let Ms. Judy ask for her item unless you want me to. My item is to authorize the attorney to revise the lawsuit Rankin County versus Shady Creek LLC so that the amount of the claim is reduced from what has been sued for to the actual amount owed by Shady Creek LLC to Rankin County. And it's approximately $42,000.
Okay.
And add reimbursing this lady her $1,200 for overpayment. I make a motion, we add these two items.
Motion by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr. Moore. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Now let's take one at a time. Do we have approval or the motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion to authorize Craig to reduce that amount.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Brown. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. I have a motion to refund, what's her name?
84,
Approximately $1,200.
Right.
So
Make a
moved.
motion.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank y'all. Let me ask you guys one last thing before we, I guess, adjourn or recess. From what Mayor Rhodes came in, does anyone want to agenda? I'm just asking this before we walk out of here today.
Yeah, definitely. I was just gonna bring it up, wait till the end.
Right.
Well, let me ask you, okay, is there any way we could, assess, I mean, it looks to me like the landowners, I know have a lot to gain from this because it ain't gonna be their land. There could be an assessment in some way put on there where we could get reimbursed if they sold, as they sold, because they're, right now, their stuff is just gonna be, right now, is agriculture.
Well, let me say, I think that they're going to well, honestly, I expected them to come and ask for the whole $1.3 million, not just the overage of the bridge. But today, he said he was gonna go back and have developers kick in the extra $600,000. So that's cash they're gonna have to put up in this right now.
Developers would be.
But I think that, the bridge really haven't been crossed yet. I don't know how the city's gonna be getting their water and sewer in there. It's a possibility they may do an assessment to recoup their cost on that. I don't know.
And Jared, that is the way for an assessment to work, is for the water and sewer, the utility side of that equation, that infrastructure. I'm not a structure.
No, I just mean if we put money in it, this additional money is in a way, I'm just looking at ways to.
A PID, that's what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
That's the only way we've ever done it, is to recoup, do a PID, but even then, it was for a road,
I mean, I don't know how, I just trying to think, it's just keep going back to the well.
I mentioned earlier, and I went and got the information.
Okay.
On money we're putting into something that's called West Rankin Parkway Children Road, and have been for, since 1999. Out there. Now, that may be mislabeled, but that's what's in our accounting
Yeah,
system.
I don't know what that is.
But it's money that, we're sending out and sending to the city of Pearl.
I don't know what that is.
Hey, Steve.
It's a
And we still
bond,
got
right?
some years to pay.
But it's not, we have it listed as a note because it's not our bond.
Yeah.
It's the city of Pearl's bond,
Yep.
I believe,
It'll be a
that
few
they
minutes, I'll
requested
get
that
it.
we pay a portion of it and did an amortization for us. But it's not our bond.
What was it on?
I don't know, that's the way it's titled,
What?
West Rankin Parkway.
Well, he just said Childry Road.
Well, that's what's
Children,
in
but
the
I don't.
road.
When it was issued, the end by the Brave Stadium and.
Yeah, but what was
No,
that for, though? I mean, what road would that have been for?
I can't remember. It was way before my time, Larry. Do you remember?
I know that we agreed to pay, we put, we,
Not in
right,
1999.
we put
Well, this
in
is
with Pearl,
2002.
we bought half the land where the stadium sits. But that was after 99 though, yeah.
paid money on that. We paid the $320,000.
Yeah.
County participated in that,
Oh, yeah, the punching, yeah, that development. Yeah.
Riverwind?
Riverwind.
Oh, did we?
Participated in that.
Could have, I don't
But would that be considered west?
Childry Road is no longer even there, really. Well, I guess it is still, but yeah. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure that we may have somewhere in the file from it. If not, it might be something we could find in the minutes.
That's not gonna be connected to Bass Pro Outlet.
No, because this was way before that.
Yeah.
This was back in
Yeah,
99.
2002.
You're talking about a West Rankin Parkway file, is what you're talking
Uh-huh.
about. Yeah.
Yeah, it starts in 1999, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can
See,
you
West
see if we can
Rankin
find
didn't even,
this?
this project didn't even begin till like old Parkway
Hell
deal.
no.
Yeah, I'm showing here in 1999 about
board in,
38,000, then
what,
2001, whenever it
No,
really
once it-
jumped into
after it starts in
61,000. And all this is
1999,
just
you
from
never
the
hear from them
county.
again. They just pay the bill every year.
This is set up on
So-
a bond
Oh, yeah,
schedule.
yeah,
It's
right.
not something.
So am I looking at this correct? We've already put out roughly $835,000 to this?
Well, by the time we pay it out.
By the time we pay it out, correct?
We have probably put out about 50,000.
So-
I would say ask Pearl, but I ain't so sure they'll know.
Still owe another 100,000.
How much?
Yeah, I see that right there to pay.
See down at the bottom?
Uh-huh,
where
to
it says
pay.
To pay,
Uh-huh,
that's still
right.
money that
Because
we're,
it doesn't pay out
we
for a
to
couple
pay.
years.
I could ask them, since they the one paying the bill, maybe they'll,
And then Jay, on
No.
the left-hand side is what you were talking about, where we kept being billed in increments, and then it finally went away.
They
That
quit billing us?
200 Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we paid, the 200 and something.
yeah.
I see what I can find out on what's in the amortization schedule. It's been there, you know, for a long time. I'll look at the file and see what I can find on it. Read up on it.
Yeah,
Well-
find out what it's for.
We'll let the minutes tell it to you.
Yeah.
But we've, now, I know we pledged 1.5 million to this project, so did we pledge 1.5 million in addition to what we've already, I mean, I'm just trying to
We
figure out.
did. What it was, we had an interlocal originally,
Right.
where the board committed doing $500,000.
Right.
And like I said, you know, they changed administration, they just quit sending us a bill. And so we quit paying it.
Right.
But during that time, we also, that's when they came and asked us to help pay for one of the bridges. And the amount of the bridge was 1.5. We did an interlocal with Pearl and Flowwood and, to pay an additional 1.5 or the cost of the bridge. And now they're asking, and truthfully, we do need to take this up now because of the meetings of MDOT. They don't meet themselves but once a month, twice a month, something like that.
Right.
So after we approve this, Pearl still has to meet and they have to approve it, and then it has to go to MDOT and they have to approve it, and all this has to be done within so many days of awarding of the contract.
Right, see, and I'm trying to get my mind around this, because it's 700, he came and asked for $750,000 above whatever the bid came in, it
It
looks
was
like.
2.25 million.
2.25.
And I sent Hoopy and Dale a copy of the bid that we have. It actually breaks down. I'm not real sure what all it is. And
Bid was some, as the mayor was talking about, some, $1 million over.
Million
Yeah,
three or something.
million
wasn't it?
three.
I think
$1.3
million three.
million,
Right.
which 750,000 of that is for the bridge.
Right.
right. But Jared did hit the nail on the head, though. See, they went over. And so we went to the MPO. It was time for us to get our funding. And they only asked for $2 million. They could ask for $3 million. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now.
I don't understand why
Why didn't they?
they didn't. I
Is
don't
this, now, is this Pearl?
Well,
that
Gary's
should have?
basically saying it was on Pearl.
That's what I'm saying, did Pearl
This is
not
Pearl's
ask?
project, and Pearl only asked for $2 million. But now, Pearl only asked for what their engineers told them to ask for. That would be my guess.
Well, and the bridge obviously was estimated way under.
Well, really, it's the total package made it start with freaking years ago,
But they didn't ask for enough money when they went to MPO.
Right.
I don't understand that. I thought they were covered. I thought this was a dead subject.
Well,
No.
they may have asked for it and just didn't get it as.
No, they
as
got everything they
provisions.
asked for.
Yeah.
Did they really?
Yeah.
So they only asked for 2, and they should have asked for 3.
Yeah. I saw, I was there.
Was it tabled or did
Sir?
somebody else get it?
Huh? Actually, I know it was 600.
No, it was
But
14
that's
million,
something
like that.
It
But
wasn't
no, they
like
only
this,
asked for 2 million.
I don't know, it was Byram or Raymond or some little town had a project
Exactly.
already.
That's for more than
They
what
said
you get. I mean,
670-some thousand over
because
here.
they'll cut you no matter what.
They had it ready and it really wasn't obligated for anywhere else. I never get that. Here.
All right, so
All right, I'm gonna make the most to add this item to the agenda.
got a motion by Mr. Bishop to add this item to the agenda, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve or
I make a motion to add 750,000 to the project.
a motion by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr. Morrison. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
And we will have this project now under construction here in the next couple months.
That's correct. And I mean, it is gonna be a great, it will be
We
a
need north-south corridors like.
big time. One thing about it I want to reiterate, and after the dust settles, I do want to have a sit down with the powers to be, on the, like what we were talking about earlier. I agree with the sheriff that we definitely can't have little ladies out, little young ladies out, old ladies and stuff like that sitting out there that's hurting and stuff like that. But, and again, I see we've got to be real careful. So no matter what, we've all got to be on the same page. That's the main thing. Communication.
Well, I think Ms.
is key.
Lewis, I didn't overhear her whole conversation, but I think she might have read into there what we were scared of. I think she was reading into it, if a tree falls across my driveway, I'm gonna call y'all to come get it out for me.
Right, and that's that's where we're gonna have to be real careful. No matter what, we'll have to be real careful and exactly.
Well, I think that what we gotta do is, I was sitting here thinking it's public safety,
Right,
so let the sheriff make the call.
that's right.
So we were still under a state of emergency.
We are now.
We still
No,
are.
no, we were when we
Yes.
declared it before
That's
the
right.
tornado came.
We
So we're still under state of emergency
We may
now?
wanna consider coming out of that on the
Until you
15th.
guys leave.
Come out from under it.
Well,
Well,
haven't
it
we?
may be, while FEMA's here, it may still be a good idea and come out on the 15th. I mean, it's not like we're not going to spend any money unless we have to, but while FEMA's here, anything could come up. I'm just saying it
I
could.
thought we just needed to do it for that
I did too.
period of time there,
Yeah,
just
I
so
don't
that.
think we've stayed in it before,
Well,
we had other
they
tornadoes.
overlapped.
They did, they overlapped.
The two occurrences overlapped.
Well, it's kind of like it's a good thing I'm not saying it's a good thing they did, but it's a good thing we did have that state of emergency already addressed.
Yeah, I think we did that when that storm was
Really
headed
helped
toward,
that night.
We'd be doing it for no reason.
Well, didn't we go into
You're
it
right.
on the 15th of last?
Well, I mean, if we need to come out now, I mean,
30 days.
what are y'all thinking? I don't know what, it's really, if we talk to FEMA and MEMA, I mean, is there any reason why we should at all, or?
I thought the original reason was for us to do it so that people get these loans or qualify for any FEMA money that might have come through.
No, there's two.
Right.
Right.
And to give us the authority to go on private property if
Correct.
we needed to because of the flooding. Then before we rescinded it, we had the tornadoes. Now, that then is where we get involved with the reimbursement. But that's really gonna be more on the municipalities.
And really, in all essence, we really don't need ours then right now,
It'll
because
be,
they
the
trump ours
municipal-
anyway.
Yeah, you're right,
Not
the
for the
municipality.
tornado damage.
Correct.
But for the flooding, yes, we did.
Right. Okay, so we want to add that item to the agenda to,
I mean,
Come out.
do
See
we,
why we need to stay in it, yeah.
you see anything, Craig? Reason why we would?
I don't.
Okay.
All right. I make a motion to add that item to the agenda.
Motion by Mr. Morrison. Questions, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carries. Just need a motion to come out of state of emergency as of
however
today.
you need to state that. to rescind our state of emergency.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, I put that in
A
full
motion
motion.
to cancel the state of emergency.
Yes.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr. Brown. Any more questions? Motion carries. Any more?
Recess.
Okay, got a motion to recess till May 15th, 9 o'clock?
Let me make one second while Larry here. What was the date that Candlestick Park got hit?
1966, March 30th.
1966.
Yeah.
Candlestick Park tornado, L5 tornado.
Not yet.
Biggest tornado
We had-
in the state of Mississippi.
You don't know.
What day in 66? March 30th.
Motion of the-
I had a few tornadoes of my own going on. Did you?
No, it's not.
All right.
That was a hurricane.
Let me finish
I
that.
was in Vietnam.
Larry was working at Liberty Grocery Store in Candlestick Park. And there was one pole left in the store
Yep, I was in Vietnam.
to hold on to. And the Lord bless Larry that.
That's 10 years old.
All right, so we had a motion and a second?
I wasn't even born.
We didn't? All right, do I have a motion to recess until
So moved.
May 15th? Motion by Mr. Morrison, second by myself. Any questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
It was 11:15.